Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at XRP then, right? So something's brewing, something's a bit interesting, something's going on here, right? So XRP has basically got a very bearish chart, right? It's bearish, apart from the MACD, which appears to be, could be considered as an accumulation zone. And that's fine because I've been saying that this is an accumulation zone this whole time. The only difference is that we can accumulate, but we are not really getting above the 200 exponential, nor are we getting above the green 50. In actual fact, we're so dangerously below there for such a long period of time now that it does appear that there's going to be a death cross form shortly. Now, the price is moving; it's moving up to that area, and if it were to break above there, it would avoid that death cross, and it may turn bullish, right? But there's a lot of other things that are against us. I mean, we've got this big red, nasty-looking Ichimoku cloud, which would need to be broken above in order to have continuation. This would also coincide with this 45-cent zone where we really did break down significantly in a period of a single day. It went all the way down to as a 52% move in a single day, right? So that would be a pretty impressive move to get to that level and above there, because at that point it would probably have continuation. So why am I saying all this, right? If the chart essentially looks like it wants to drop further, and it does. This is, if you were to read this chart, the chart would say we're at resistance now. We're at very significant resistance now, and there's so much above us that is resistance that it's very, 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 very unlikely that it would break above here. Now, in the light of all this Wall Street bets pumpage, GameStop and Doji and all that lot, there is talk of a renaissance in XRP, that XRP may become one of those highlighted assets for one of those moves. Now, I'm not saying that there is, I'm not saying that there isn't, but if there were to be, let's look at what it would take for it to take off, alright? So first of all, we are currently at a mega resistance zone, right? This area right here is going to have a lot of pressure on it, right? Lots of sells, all in this zone. This is where lots of people are going to be selling because, again, it's a significant resistance. Resistances are there because people want to take profit at the highest point that they feel safe in doing. So that's what that is. This is going to have an enormous amount of sells here. Not so much shorts, but there will be shorts stacking here because this is the obvious place to do it. This is the obvious place to take shorts from. The 200 exponential, if we're below it, it would be a pretty significant resistance. It also coincided more or less with the green 50 exponential, another significant resistance, another opportunity to short it or to take profit from it. So if we were to break above here with a substantial amount of volume, I would say that it's got every chance of really pushing. So let's have a look at some of these other areas where there would be sell walls. So this would be one here, and we can see we had an attempt to break up here. After this 50% move down, we bounced up and rejected there. We tried it again the next day, failed. A few weeks later, we tried it again. A few days after then, we tried it again. So this area here, at about 37.5 cents, would also be one. More or less as well with the 200, sorry, that's the 100 simple moving average. So that would be another area of interest. Alright, so we got one here, massive sell wall there, that breaks straight up to there, I would imagine. Now what happens if this one breaks, right? It would need a phenomenal push to break above here. Then it would sail all the way up to this zone here, which is the area that we broke down from, about 45 cents. So we'd need one big push to get above here, another big push to break above here, and if we were to break above here, then in my opinion, it's basically all the way back up to its previous high, and then beyond. Who knows? Because the FOMO would then probably set in at that point, as it's not a blue sky breakout, but it would be very significant. If we extend this if we extend that over to here, we can see that there's also a little bit of problem around this zone as well. So kind of rejection, kind of support, and a pump. So these are the three areas that I would suggest would need the big pushes, the big breaks, and then straight up to the top. Now when we get up to this zone up here, if there is FOMO does set in, what would be next after that? So in that case, I'll show you on here. This is the giant fib retracement from the XRP all-time high. All right, and I've been saying for best part of 9 months, I think now, that what we're doing during this entire blood zone area, you know, the blood cellar, the 236, is accumulation. All of it is an accumulation zone. Breaking above here would have a very, very big move. And so we look at the fibs as the next levels of significant support and resistance. So this, if we're to break about 86, 87 cent, would take us up to pretty much easily take us up to about $1.34. Then the next area after that, if that were to break, again sell walls around that zone. Probably not so many shorts, I would say, but there probably would be an attempt to try and short it at these levels. But if that were to break, straight up to $1.73. And if that breaks, straight up to $2.10. If that breaks, straight up to $2.64. If that breaks, all the way up to the all-time high. And if that breaks, then basically the sky is the limit. It would go parabolic. So let's count these all together. So we have the initial one, which is where we are right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 significant sell walls that would be, you know, part of this big move. If anyone had expected this to break all of these, it would take an enormous amount of volume. Now, when it comes to XRP, we've seen how quickly it can attract attention, how quickly it can be traded. It's available to trade still, you know, on the major platforms, maybe not for the US, but there are still opportunities for the US to get involved. Obviously, a lot of people would still use a VPN and get involved. So technically, you know, despite the the restrictions on it, it does have that. You know, it's still accessible to everybody. Really, you can't. No, it's kind of silly, really. But I understand why people are doing it. You know, regulations and things like that. No one, these exchanges don't want to get in trouble, so they're playing it safe. But really, you know, it's accessible to everybody still. So we've got 10 giant sell walls basically to make a blue sky breakout. You know, what kind of volume is that going to need? Probably more than something like Doji. However, if you were to look at the market cap of Doji right now, it's like coming in at number 7. It's above Litecoin and Chainlink. It wasn't there the other day. So volume technically can be generated in mass. Also, you know, we've got XRP is available for margin trading at extremely high leverage. So you could put in, you know, some people are putting in like $100, you know, just as a spot trade. Some people will be putting $1,000 in as a spot trade. Some people will be putting $100 or $1,000 in with margin trades, double in, triple in, quadruple in, 10x in, 20x in. God knows what some of these people would be thinking of doing. But the possibilities of generating extra volume out of small capital is obviously there, and you know, the nature of crypto does lend itself to I suppose the greedy. So volume may not actually be too much of an issue with small parts of capital, but the problem is going to be we have 10 sell walls in order to smash through them to create a blue sky breakout. Now realistically, if this were to take place, I'm just saying if it were to take place, if people were to decide to hone in and target XRP as one of these pump mechanisms, these collective retail army events, what do I think is likely to happen? Well, I mean, the fact is we are at the moment growing in volume already. I mean, Bitcoin down, a lot of the top caps are down, XRP is not down, so it does feel as though you know, the army is loading up their arsenal already, and are preparing themselves to do something, you know, whenever it is that they plan to do it. I mean, I don't know, it's all theory to me. But if my theory is correct, this volume isn't coming out of nowhere. This chart technically isn't a bullish chart. It's not a bullish chart. In fact, it's an accumulating chart, which means that it could be, you know, it's snaking around up and down. But technically, on all time frames, it's pretty bearish. It's pretty bearish. The weight that's above us here, just in this zone here, is the heaviest I've seen XRP in a long time, actually, which it basically leads me to believe that if this were to break this zone, just this zone here up to 45 cent, then there is every chance that it could reach up to the 236, and that would be pretty impressive, because the 236, if that were to break, it really would launch up to well, let's just measure that move. We're roughly there right now. That would be a 336% move before a possible, significant rejection. That's a kind of a doji style move, if this were to happen, and that's all it would take to achieve. The vast majority of the buying pressure would need to smash through the 45 cent zone. This zone, was FOMO, but if all of this took place in a single day, this area, in my opinion, isn't really resistance. This was a blow off top moment. It's not really resistance. The resistance is just above, at this area here, about 86.5 cents, 87 cents. So that's my theory if this were to take place. And like I say, XRP is moving already. It's moving as we speak. If my theory is correct, then I would actually expect a pretty big move. And if it is in the wake of all this, retail army, targeted asset investment, collective investment, then yeah, I would plausibly say that a move up to about $1.34 is actually quite likely. And then if that breaks, then it really would just sail straight back up. It would go $1.73. It could go $2.10. It would be that easy. This is where the next sell walls would be, which basically allows it to make such large incremental moves. Up to there 300%, up to there 500%, up to there 660%, up to there 885%. Incrementally, it could make its way all the way back up to the all-time high, if the momentum continues. So, like I say, it's very early days and it's all just theory. But if it were to be, put into practice, this would actually be the main zone to break. And we're not too far away from it. Shorts are piled up in this area. Shorts are piled up in this area. Most shorts were waxed on these moves here. People were thinking it was clever to short this all the way down and thinking it was going to go down forever. And I was telling everybody that it's not going to go down forever. There's a market cycle involved. It will reverse at some point. We got the first initial one, we got the second one, and then obviously the FUD kicked in. But the market cycle technically is still in play, and in my opinion, with or without the FUD or a collective FOMO pump, it would actually continue to go up anyway. So it's interesting times, definitely interesting times. So I'm going to leave it with you there. Like I say, I'm not suggesting do anything other than sit back, wait and watch. But it's something is brewing, it would appear, in my opinion. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day and take it easy.